I thought losing my son would be the worst pain I'd ever experience. I was wrong. The worst pain came from the woman who was supposed to love him as much as I did. Let me tell you about the day my world shattered twice. My name is Katerina, and for 23 years I lived what I thought was a blessed life. I had a beautiful marriage to Dmitry, a successful career as a pediatric nurse, and most importantly, I had my son, Alexei. Alexei was everything to me, my firstborn, my miracle baby after years of fertility struggles, my reason for breathing. When Alexei was born, Dmitry and I were over the moon. But life has a cruel way of testing you when you least expect it. Alexei was diagnosed with a rare genetic condition when he was just 6 months old. The doctors gave us a timeline that made my heart stop. Maybe 5 years. Maybe 10 if we were lucky. They told us to make every moment count. And we did. Oh God, we did. Dmitry and I poured everything into Alexei. We took him to Disney World 4 times. We had pizza for breakfast when he asked for it. We let him stay up late to watch his favorite movies. We made every single day an adventure because we knew our time was borrowed. But here's where my story takes a turn that still makes my hands shake when I think about it. When Alexei was 4, Dmitry met someone at his office. Her name was Irina, and she was everything I wasn't tall. Glamorous, without the exhaustion lines that came from sleepless nights in hospital rooms. She was also child-free by choice, something she made very clear from the beginning. Dmitry swore it was just friendship. "She's helping me cope, Katerina," he'd say when I questioned why he was coming home later and later. "You're always so focused on Alexei's medical stuff. Irina helps me remember who I am outside of this situation. I should have seen the signs. I should have fought harder. But I was drowning in medical appointments, insurance battles, and the constant fear of losing my baby. I didn't have the energy to fight for my marriage, too. Alexei lived until he was 7. 7 beautiful, heartbreaking years of laughter and tears, of hope and despair, of love so fierce it physically hurt. When he died in my arms on a Tuesday morning in March, I thought the world should stop spinning. How could life just continue when something so precious had ended? The funeral was a blur of flowers and casseroles, and people saying things like he's in a better place now, and at least he's not suffering anymore. I wanted to scream at them. He wasn't suffering, he was living. He was my baby, and he was living. Dmitry held my hand during the service, but his grip felt distant, obligatory. Irina was there too, standing in the back like she belonged, like she had any right to mourn my son. 3 weeks after we buried Alexei, Dmitry sat me down in our living room, the same room where Alexei had learned to walk, where we'd built countless pillow forts, where medical equipment had hummed quietly in the corner for years. "Katerina, I can't do this anymore," he said, and I knew. I knew before he said another word. I'm in love with Irina. I have been for a while. I know the timing is terrible, but maybe this is for the best. We can both start fresh. Start fresh, as if our son was something to recover from. As if 7 years of fighting for his life was baggage to be discarded. I was numb. Completely, utterly numb. I signed the divorce papers without reading them. I let Dmitry take whatever he wanted from the house. I just existed. But the real destruction came 6 months later. I was going through Alexei's things, trying to decide what to keep and what to donate, when I found his tablet. We'd bought it for him when he was stuck in the hospital for 2 weeks, and he'd loved making little videos and taking pictures. I thought maybe there would be some sweet memories on there. What I found instead changed everything. There were messages. Messages between Dmitry and Irina that went back 3 years. 3 years. Alexei had been 5 when their affair really started. Not just the emotional friendship Dmitry had claimed. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was a conversation thread from 2 months before Alexei died. Irina was complaining about Dmitry being distracted and unavailable. She was frustrated that their relationship wasn't moving forward. And then I saw it. The message that broke something inside me that I didn't even know could break. Irina had written, "I'm tired of waiting for your sick kid to die so we can have a real life together. How much longer is this going to take?" And Dmitry's response, "I know, baby. I'm tired too. The doctors say maybe another year. I just need to stick it out for appearances. Katerina would never forgive me if I left now. Another year. They were waiting for my son to die, like it was an inconvenience to their love story." I screenshot every single message. I printed them out. I read them over and over until the words were burned into my brain. Lisa hadn't just wanted my husband. She'd wanted my dying child to hurry up and die so she could have him. For 3 days, I sat in Jake's room, surrounded by those messages, and I planned. David and Lisa had married just 4 months after our divorce was final. They'd sent me an invitation. Can you believe that? Like I'd want to celebrate their happiness. They'd moved into a beautiful house across town, the kind of place I'd always dreamed of, but we could never afford because of medical bills. I waited. I watched. I learned their routines. Lisa had built quite the social media presence as David's new wife. She posted constantly about their perfect life and their fresh start. She'd even started a blog called Second Chances about finding love after life's challenges. She never mentioned that the challenge she'd overcome was waiting for a child to die. The opportunity came at their 6-month anniversary party. They'd rented out an entire restaurant, invited all their friends and colleagues. David's entire office was there, including his boss. Lisa's family had flown in from out of state. Everyone who mattered to them was in that room. I dressed carefully that night. I wore the dress I'd bought for Jake's 7th birthday party, the one we never got to have. I did my hair the way Jake always said looked pretty. I wanted to look like the grieving mother I was, not like someone seeking revenge. I walked into that restaurant like I owned the place. "Sarah." David stood up so fast his chair fell over. "What are you doing here?" "I came to give you both an anniversary gift," I said, loud enough for the surrounding tables to hear. Lisa appeared at his side, her face pale but trying to maintain her composure. "I don't think that's appropriate," Lisa said, her voice tight. "Oh, but I think it is," I replied, pulling out my phone. "You see, I found something that belongs to both of you. Something I think everyone should see." I'd had the IT guy at the hospital, Jake's favorite technician who'd always made him laugh during scans, help me create a presentation. Nothing fancy. Just the messages, blown up large enough for everyone to read. I connected my phone to the restaurant's TV system. I'd called ahead and asked if I could make a toast to the happy couple. They'd been so accommodating. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced, and the room gradually quieted. "I'd like to share the beautiful love story of David and Lisa. It's quite touching, really. It all started 3 years ago, while my son was dying of a genetic condition." I clicked to the first screenshot. The room went silent as people read Lisa's words. "I'm tired of waiting for your sick kid to die, so we can have a real life together." Someone gasped. I heard chairs scraping against the floor. "This next one is my personal favorite," I continued, my voice steady despite my racing heart. It really shows the depth of their love and patience. David's response appeared on screen. "The doctors say maybe another year. I just need to stick it out for appearances." "Sarah, stop," David pleaded, but his voice was drowned out by the murmur of shocked voices. I clicked through more messages. Lisa calling Jake that burden. David complaining about having to attend medical appointments. Lisa suggesting David should just let nature take its course and stop pursuing aggressive treatments. "You see," I said, looking directly at Lisa, whose face had gone from pale to green, Some people think love is about waiting for someone. But real love is about being there during the hardest times, not counting down the days until the hard times are over. The room was in chaos now. People were taking pictures of the screen with their phones. David's boss was staring in horror. Lisa's mother was crying. Jake died 8 months ago, I continued. He was 7 years old, and he was the most beautiful, brave, funny little boy you could imagine. And while he was fighting for his life, these two were fighting for their right to be happy once he was gone. I looked around the room, at all these people who'd come to celebrate what they thought was a beautiful second-chance love story. So here's to David and Lisa. I raised my empty hand as if holding a glass. May you get exactly what you deserve. I walked out of that restaurant with my head held high, leaving behind a room full of people who now knew exactly who David and Lisa really were. The fallout was swift and brutal. David's law firm fired him within the week. Apparently having an affair with a colleague while waiting for your child to die doesn't look good for a family law practice. Lisa's blog was bombarded with comments until she had to shut it down. Her employer, a children's charity, let her go after the story went viral on social media. They tried to sue me for defamation, but you can't defame someone with their own words. Every message I'd shared was real, unedited, with timestamps and metadata intact. But here's what I learned in the aftermath. Revenge doesn't heal the hole in your heart. It doesn't bring your child back. It doesn't undo the betrayal or the years of lies. What it does do is give you back your power. It takes the narrative away from people who tried to make you the victim of their love story, and gives you the chance to tell the truth. David and Lisa's marriage didn't survive the scandal. Funny how relationships built on waiting for convenient timing tend to fall apart when things get inconvenient. Last I heard, David was working for a small firm in another state, and Lisa had moved back in with her parents. As for me, I sold the house. Too many memories of Jake and too many reminders of David's betrayal. I moved to a smaller town where I work at a children's hospital, and I've started a support group for parents of children with terminal illnesses. I talk about Jake every day now. I share his pictures and his stories. I make sure people know that he wasn't a burden or an inconvenience. He was a child who deserved love and time and hope, even when that time was limited. Some people ask me if I regret what I did at that restaurant. They think maybe I should have taken the high road, let karma handle things, moved on quietly. But here's the thing. Sometimes the high road is making sure the truth gets told. Sometimes the high road is protecting the next woman from the man who could watch his child die while planning his future with someone else. Sometimes the high road is making sure your child's memory isn't overshadowed by someone else's beautiful love story. Jake deserved better than to be a footnote in their romance. He deserved to be remembered as more than an obstacle they overcame. And now he is.